Hey everybody, Zero here, and today I'm doing a review, I guess, of the Game Boy Color. I will be using for this demonstration my absolutely flawless condition Game Boy Color Teal system. Um, I have actually never seen a older style Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color in this good condition before. It's still got all the stickers intact. They're not even, peeling or faded or anything from the sun or from wear. Um, there's no scratches at all on the screen, and the system itself is just, flawless. So I'm very excited to use this for my review. But I've been thinking a lot about Game Boys recently, and SP and original Game Boy Advance, and just all sorts of different stuff. And I really, really like the Game Boy Color. Even though obviously you can't play Game Boy Advance games, out of all the original Game Boy models, it's probably the best, including some of the systems we didn't get. Like in Japan, they got the Game Boy Light, which came in silver and gold and was basically a Game Boy Pocket, but with a Indiglo blue light screen. And you could turn the power switch, instead of being on the side over here, was on the top, and you could flick it between off, on, and light. And when it was on light, you could play at nighttime because there would be a blue tint to the screen. So the Game Boy Color is small, kind of like the Game Boy Pocket. The Game Boy Pocket was just an original Game Boy but smaller. It still played only original Game Boy games, not Game Boy Color games, and it was in black and white. Game Boy Color was awesome because the system itself came in, the 5 main starter colors, and then also the atomic purple, which was like a clear system where you could see like the inside, workings of it. Right now here I have a Pokemon Red that I, started over the other day, and it is just an original Game Boy game. It's not a Game Boy Color game, so you don't get the full, the full color palette and all that stuff. Some of the older Game Boy games do have an extra color palette where the game will actually be in color, even if it wasn't on the original Game Boy. That's actually built into the system itself, not the cartridge. But I'll just show you. If you haven't seen an original Game Boy before and you've only grown up playing like the Advance or the Advance SP, this is about how bright the screen gets. During the daytime, you can see it pretty well as long as you're in good lighting conditions. If you're playing at night, it's still possible. You just have to be near some sort of artificial lighting. It won't look as good, but it should be playable. The graphics, obviously, 1989 is when the original Game Boy came out. When the Game Boy Color came out a few years later, it was better processor, but I mean, you don't really see that much of a difference in the graphics. But as you can see, there's a slight enhanced color palette. There's some, if I zoom in, you're just going to get all blurry, but there's some greens and some reds and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's pretty much black and white, at least on this game. Now, if you were playing like a Game Boy Color game, there'd be a lot more colors, and you can actually... Some games, like, they don't say Game Boy Color on them, but you can always tell the difference because a original Game Boy game will, where it says Nintendo Game Boy at the top, it will be indented, like, so you can, put your finger in there. On the Game Boy Color cartridges, they rise up. There's like a bump here. Same shape, it's like an oval, but it's bumped up. Cartridges feel a little bit thicker on the Game Boy Color ones, and they're usually clear. So that's how you can tell the difference. But, yeah. So the screen on the Game Boy Color is pretty small. It's a square shape instead of a rectangle, just like the original Game Boy. If you play, like, downloaded Game Boy games on, like, a DS or, like, a 3DS, you can either choose to play it in the original square mode, or you can, stretch it, make it bigger. and then it distorts it a little bit. But I like the design shape of the system. How, game systems back in the day used to be more of a vertical type console where you'd hold like the buttons down here and then the screen would be up on the top. Ever since the original Game Boy Advance, where it was like a wide system where you'd hold it like that, the PSPs, the Game Boy Advance original, a lot of systems since then have been more horizontal. I kind of like the old feel of the the vertical system. Makes me feel like I'm a little kid again playing an old Game Boy. There is no adjustment on the side for contrast like there was on the original Game Boy, because obviously since it's in color now, if you start screwing with the contrast, you might screw things up. There's a port there for the cable for sharing with other people that have a Game Boy. The volume, little lanyard hole up there. I believe when the system's on, the light is red, and then when it's dying, it either turns orange or starts to flash. There's the whole system's pretty much made of plastic except for down in here. There's metal, and that's what the cartridge locks into. Takes AA batteries, just 2 of them, and you can get loads and loads of hours of gameplay just out of 2 batteries, so it's not a big deal at all. It's not like Xbox 360 controllers where you need to replace the batteries like constantly. 1 speaker down here in the bottom right hand corner, just your standard start and select buttons, B, A, and a D-pad. Solid D-pad, there's no like sectioned off up, down, left, right. It kind of like wobbles though. You can spin it and like kind of like a rotate, like. The buttons are very clicky. They make noise. They're very plasticky and feel kind of cheap, but they definitely work for. They're very springy for playing the games and stuff. And there is the sensor for like if you. I don't know if you could do it in Pokemon with trading, but I know in some games you can like beam stuff back and forth to people by putting your Game Boy Color near theirs and just kind of but yeah, I mean you can get these things nowadays for probably $20 if you go to either like an old used retro game shop or if you get it off eBay. Just if you get it off eBay, make sure there's no scratches on the screen. Make sure that it's got the battery cover. A lot of the pictures look good from the front, and then you click on the auction and they have more pictures, or they say no battery cover, and there's like duct tape on the back of it or something. So, but yeah, I mean these things, Nintendo products are always good. These things take a beating and keep on working. I mean this came out in like mid '90s, and it's been over a decade, and it's still. I mean look at this. The condition on this is amazing. Headphone jack, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Yeah, I mean, this is like mint condition. I mean, it depends on who owns it and takes care of it too. But even if like a little kid has this and they bash it around, it's still gonna work. It's still gonna read games. You might just get some scratches on the screen. But speaking of kids, like when I have kids someday, I am not gonna start them out. I want my kids to play video games, but I'm not gonna start them out with like whatever the newest system is. Like if I were to have kids now, I wouldn't give them a 3DS and a Vita. I would want my kids to actually play old school stuff like this, because I think that not only did this stuff like pave the way for modern video games, but I actually believe that the older stuff is better than the stuff we have coming out now. A lot of the stuff they shovel out now is just kind of crap, and stuff like Pokemon, Mario, Zelda, Final Fantasy, the older ones. Those are games that have stood the test of time and are still awesome to this day, and that really says something about how just simple and rewarding the gameplay is, as opposed to a lot of the crap that's out now. So my kids are going to get a Game Boy Color, maybe even this one, when when they're born. So there's a huge library of games for the Game Boy Color, and it's also backwards compatible with original Game Boy games, so that makes tons of games for you to pick from. So if you can, go out and grab one of these if you haven't played an original Game Boy before, because they are awesome. So I will see you guys in the next video.